The smell of pine sawdust hung thick in Tom Whitaker's workshop that Tuesday morning, the kind of honest smell that comes from working with your hands. At 67, his fingers still knew their way around sandpaper and wood grain. Christmas music crackled from the old radio, Silent Night playing for what had to be the 100th time that season. He was finishing a cradle for his granddaughter, a girl he'd never met, born 8 months ago to a son who hadn't called in 3 years. Linda brought him coffee, the way she had for 32 years, set it on the workbench, kissed his cheek. "Looking good," she said, nodding at the cradle. Her phone buzzed. Tom glanced up, saw the color drain from her face like someone had pulled a plug. She stared at the screen, lips pressed tight, then turned and rushed back into the house, without another word. The coffee sat there steaming. Tom looked at it, then at the empty doorway. Something was wrong. He just didn't know how wrong yet. Wednesday morning, 9 o'clock. Tom's phone buzzed on the workbench. A text from Linda. "Don't freak out. I lost your laptop. My ex borrowed it for something and now he says it's not working right." Tom read it once, then again, then a third time, like maybe the words would rearrange themselves into something that made sense. My ex borrowed it for something. Marcus. Had to be Marcus Doyle, the high school boyfriend, the one Linda mentioned sometimes when she'd had too much wine and felt nostalgic. The cocky athlete who'd played quarterback and thought the whole town owed him something. Tom's hands started shaking. He called her, straight to voicemail. Called again, same thing. She'd turned off her phone. He texted back. "What do you mean lost? Where are you? I need that laptop." The 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then nothing. Tom set the phone down and tried to breathe steady, tried to think. That laptop wasn't just a laptop. It was 40 years of his life, stored in ones and zeros. Every family photo he'd spent months scanning and organizing. His father's World War II letters, all 200 of them, digitized so carefully you could still see the creases where the old man had folded them in Belgium, December 1944. His brother's estate files, documents he hadn't looked at in 3 years, not since Mike died of cancer, and left everything in Tom's hands. Borrowed it for something. What the hell did that mean? Tom paced the kitchen. The linoleum was worn thin in a path from the sink to the table. 32 years of footsteps. The wedding photo hung on the wall, Linda in her mother's dress, him in a borrowed suit, both of them 22, and stupid with hope. 11 o'clock came and went. No response. Noon. Nothing. Tom made a sandwich he couldn't eat. The bread tasted like cardboard. Or maybe that was just his mouth, dry as dust. 1 in the afternoon, his phone finally buzzed. "Linda, I'm at Cheryl's. We'll talk when I get it back. Stop overreacting." Stop overreacting. Like his entire life wasn't sitting in some other man's apartment right now. Like 40 years of memories were just something you handed off to an old boyfriend for something. Tom called Cheryl, Linda's sister. "She's upset, Tom," Cheryl said, her voice careful and rehearsed. "Give her some space." "Space?" "She gave my laptop to her ex-boyfriend and won't tell me why. She said you'd blow it out of proportion. Cheryl, I gotta go. She needs me right now." The line went dead. Tom sat at the kitchen table until the winter light started failing. 5 o'clock came. No Linda. He made dinner for 2 out of habit, pork chops, mashed potatoes, green beans from a can, set both plates on the table, and stared at them until the food went cold. At 7, he scraped 1 plate into the trash. At 10, another text arrived. "Staying here tonight. You're being ridiculous." Tom stared at those words until they blurred. You're being ridiculous. 32 years. He'd worked double shifts at the machine shop when David was little. Came home smelling like motor oil and metal shavings. Handed her every paycheck. Never raised his voice. Never raised his hand. When her mother died, he'd held her through 3 days of crying and never once said he needed to grieve too, and now he was ridiculous. He turned off the lights and sat in the dark living room, listening to the furnace kick on and off. The house creaked and settled. Outside, snow had started falling, first of the season, covering everything in white. Around midnight, he heard a car in the driveway. Tom stood at the window, watching through a gap in the curtains. Linda's Accord pulled in, headlights cutting through the snow. The engine shut off, but she didn't get out. Just sat there in the driver's seat, phone pressed to her ear. Tom watched her face in the dashboard light. She was laughing. Not the polite laugh she gave at his jokes anymore. The real one, the kind he hadn't heard in years. Her whole face lit up, head tilted back against the headrest. She covered her mouth with her free hand like she was trying to keep the joy from spilling out. 5 full minutes, she sat there, talking, laughing. Finally, she hung up, and her face went serious immediately. Practiced serious. She checked herself in the rearview mirror, fixed her hair, then got out and headed for the door. Tom stepped back from the window and sat down in his recliner. The front door opened. Linda came in, shaking snow from her coat. "Tom?" Her voice was careful. "You still up?" He didn't answer right away, just looked at her standing there in the doorway, snowflakes melting in her hair. "Who were you talking to?" he asked. "What?" "In the car, just now. You were on the phone." Her face flickered, just for a second, before smoothing out. "Cheryl, she was making sure I got home okay with the snow." Tom nodded slowly. That laugh hadn't been for Cheryl. Linda stood in the doorway, snow melting off her shoulders, and something in her face shifted. The tears came quick, too quick, Tom would think later. But in that moment, he wanted so badly to believe them. "Tom, I'm so sorry." She crossed to him, knelt beside the recliner. "I know you're upset. Let me explain." He looked down at her. 32 years of looking at that face. The lines around her eyes were deeper now, her hair more gray than brown. But it was still Linda, still his wife. "I'm listening," he said. She took his hand. Hers was cold from outside. "I ran into Marcus at the grocery store 2 weeks ago. You remember him, from high school?" "I remember." He looked terrible, Tom, really down on his luck. "We got to talking, and he told me his computer died. He's applying for jobs, trying to get back on his feet, has diabetes, medical bills piling up. He's living in that rundown apartment complex by the old steel mill." Tom said nothing. "I just wanted to help someone," Linda continued. "He needed to fill out applications online, send resumes. I thought I could loan him a laptop for a few days." "Why didn't you ask me first?" Her jaw tightened, just slightly. "Because you would have said no. You never liked him." That was true. Marcus had been the kind of guy who peaked in high school and never figured out why the world stopped cheering, cocky, entitled, the kind who'd pour beer on freshmen and call it a prank. "So you went behind my back," Tom said. "I was trying to do something good." Her voice had an edge now. "Is that so terrible?" "That laptop has everything on it, Linda. My father's letters, our family photos, Mike's estate files." "I know, and I promise I'll get it back tomorrow. He's just finishing up some applications." Tom wanted to believe her. God, he wanted to. Because the alternative, that his wife of 32 years would betray him for a high school ex, was too much to carry. "Tomorrow," he said. "Tomorrow." She squeezed his hand. "I love you. You know that, right?" 32 years, Tom said. "We've been through worse." "We have." Linda stood up, kissed his forehead. "This is nothing, just a misunderstanding." Thursday evening, Tom made pot roast. It was Linda's favorite, the way his mother used to make it, with carrots and potatoes swimming in gravy, the smell of onions filling the kitchen. A peace offering, a way back to normal. They sat across from each other at the kitchen table. The same table they'd bought at a yard sale in 1993, refinished together one summer weekend. Linda had gotten varnish in her hair and laughed about it for days. She held his hand across the table now. "I love you," she said again. "You know that, right?" "I know. We're okay. You and me. We're okay." Tom wanted to believe it, needed to. They ate in near silence, just the scrape of forks on plates and the furnace clicking on. Outside, more snow was falling. The weather report said a big storm was coming, 18 inches, maybe more. After dinner, they watched television without really watching it. Linda curled up on one end of the couch, Tom on the other, the way they used to sit when David was little, and they'd wait for him to fall asleep before talking about grown-up things. But they didn't talk about anything now. At 11, Linda said she was going to take a shower. Tom nodded, still staring at the TV, some police procedural he couldn't follow. He heard the bathroom door close, the water start running. 10 minutes later, he got up for a glass of water, walked past the bathroom. The water was still running, but through the door, he heard Linda's voice, whispering, urgent. Tom froze in the hallway, bare feet cold on the hardwood. "No, he doesn't know about the files," Linda was saying. Her voice was muffled but clear enough. "I told you, he never checks that stuff. Tomorrow, okay? I'll handle it. Stop worrying." A pause. Tom's heart hammered in his chest, then softer. "I know. I miss you too." The water shut off suddenly. Tom hurried back to the living room, sat down, grabbed the remote like he'd been there the whole time. His hands were shaking so bad he could barely hold it. Linda came out a few minutes later, hair wet, wearing her bathrobe. She didn't look at him, just said goodnight, and went to the bedroom. Tom stayed on the couch, listened to her moving around in there, getting ready for bed, the mattress creaking as she got in. He waited until her breathing evened out, then crept down the hall. Stood in the bedroom doorway. She was facing away from him, curled on her side. Her phone was on the nightstand, screen dark. Tom got into bed as quietly as he could, stayed on his edge. They used to sleep tangled together, her head on his chest. Now there were miles between them in a queen-size bed. He stared at the ceiling, the same ceiling he'd stared at for 32 years. Water stain in the corner they kept meaning to fix. Hairline crack running toward the window. He doesn't know about the files. What files? I miss you too. Who did she miss? At 6 in the morning, Tom lay there watching Linda sleep. The early light coming through the curtains touched her face, made her look young again, peaceful. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Her hand shot out, still asleep, moving on instinct. Grabbed the phone, pulled it under the covers. Tom saw the screen for just a second before she deleted the message. Can't wait to see you later. Bring the preview cut off. Linda's eyes fluttered, checked to see if Tom was awake. He'd already closed his eyes, forced his breathing steady. She slipped out of bed, took the phone with her to the bathroom. Tom lay there, eyes still closed, and knew. This wasn't about a borrowed laptop. This was something else. Something worse. He got up, got dressed, found his truck keys. I'm going to Marcus's place, he said to the empty house. Today. Friday morning, 9 o'clock, Tom drove to Marcus's apartment. The place was over by the old Kendallville steel mill, the one that closed in '09 and left half the town scrambling for work. The apartment complex had been cheap housing for mill workers back then. Now it was just cheap. Tom's truck rumbled in the cold, took 3 tries to start. The engine was getting old, like everything else. He pulled into the parking lot. Snow from last night was already turning gray, mixed with oil stains and cigarette butts. A broken shopping cart lay on its side near the dumpster. Apartment 2B, second floor, numbers crooked on the door. Tom climbed the exterior stairs, his breath making clouds in the December air. From somewhere inside the building, a TV blared. Judge Judy yelling at somebody. He knocked, firm, 3 times. The door opened. Marcus stood there, grinning. 52 years old, but still built like he spent half his life at the gym. Hair slicked back. That same cocky smirk Tom remembered from high school. And he was wearing Tom's Colts jersey. The blue one. Number 18, Peyton Manning. Linda had given it to Tom for their 20th anniversary, wrapped it up with a card that said, 20 years and forever to go. Marcus ran his hands down the fabric, smoothing it over his chest. Oh, this? He'd seen Tom staring. Linda said you wouldn't miss it. Said you got a gut now, doesn't fit anyway. The jersey fit Marcus perfectly. Tom stood in the doorway, snow melting off his boots onto the cracked linoleum. His mouth had gone dry. He couldn't think of a single thing to say. Marcus leaned against the doorframe, blocking the entrance. You hear about the computer, buddy? That's my laptop, Tom managed. I need it back. Yeah, about that. Marcus scratched his jaw, fake thoughtful. Got some bad news. Things got issues. Corrupted files, damaged a drive. Real mess. What did you do to it? Nothing, man. It was already messed up. But hey, Marcus held up a finger like he'd just had a brilliant idea. I know a guy, data recovery specialist. Expensive though, 50 grand ought to cover it. Tom felt the words like a punch. $50,000? Are you out of your mind? Nah, I'm being reasonable. Marcus's grin widened. See, I took a peek at what's on there. Old man, you got some valuable stuff. War letters, estate files, crypto wallet keys. Tom's blood ran cold. How do you know what's on my laptop? The grin turned into something uglier, triumphant. Linda's real helpful. Tells me all kinds of things, like how you got your brother's Bitcoin stashed on there. Inheritance you forgot about. Worth what, couple $100,000? The hallway tilted. Tom put a hand on the doorframe to steady himself. So $50K is cheap, really, Marcus continued. You get your precious memories back, I get paid for my trouble. Win-win. That's extortion. That's business. Marcus shrugged. You got until Christmas Eve. After that, he made a gesture like something slipping through fingers. Hard drives fail all the time. Tragic when it happens. Marcus, tell Linda I'll see her later. Marcus started closing the door, then paused, looked it down at the jersey, smoothed it again. And hey, thanks for this. Real comfortable. Quality shit. The door shut in Tom's face. Tom stood there in the empty hallway, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, the kind that never quite get bright enough. From behind a door down the hall, Judge Judy was still yelling. Someone's baby was crying. The whole place smelled like stale cigarettes in desperation. He walked back to his truck like a man in a dream, got in, sat there with the engine running, white-knuckling the steering wheel. Linda had told Marcus about the files. had gone through his laptop, his private files, and fed information to another man. A man who was now wearing Tom's anniversary present and demanding $50,000. Tom had no proof, no leverage, no way to get the laptop back legally, and worse, his wife had actively betrayed him. He drove home in silence. The road was slick with new snow, the sky had gone gray and heavy, more storm coming. When he pulled into the driveway, Linda's car was gone. A note sat on the kitchen counter, Linda's handwriting. Went to Cheryl's again, need space, stop harassing my friends. Tom crumpled the note in his fist. The radio was on in the living room. Weather report. Blizzard warning in effect. 18 to 24 inches expected. Residents advised to stay off roads. Storm moving in by afternoon. Tom's phone was dead. He'd forgotten to charge it overnight. The landline started ringing. He stared at it, didn't move. 7 rings, 8, then silence. Outside, the first fat snowflakes were starting to fall. The kind of snow that meant business. The kind that buried things. Tom sat down at the kitchen table. Trapped, he thought, just like Marcus wanted. Friday afternoon, 2 o'clock. The storm hit. Tom was in his woodshop, staring at the empty space on the workbench where his laptop used to sit. The space looked bigger than it should, like a missing tooth. The door from the house opened. Linda stood there, snow in her hair, still wearing her coat. "We need to talk," she said. Tom didn't turn around. "About how you gave my laptop to your ex-boyfriend? Or about how you told him about private files?" "How dare you?" Her voice went sharp. "How dare you accuse me? I was trying to help someone." "He wants $50,000, Linda." Tom turned to face her now. Called it data recovery. Linda's face flushed. "That's ridiculous. He wouldn't. He's wearing my Colts jersey, the one you gave me for our anniversary. You gave him that too." Her mouth opened, closed. Then, "It was just sitting in a drawer. You never wear it anymore." "That's not the point." "What is your point, Tom?" She was yelling now, something she almost never did. "You spend all day in this shop ignoring me, building things for a grandchild you've never even met because your son won't speak to you. I needed a friend. Marcus understands me." "Understands you?" "Yes." The word came out like a sob. "He listens. He asks about my day. When's the last time you did that?" Tom stood there, sawdust on his hands, and couldn't remember. "You're obsessing over a stupid computer," Linda said, "while our marriage falls apart." She turned and walked back into the house. The guest bedroom door slammed hard enough to rattle the windows. Tom tried to follow, tried to say something, but the words wouldn't come. The power flickered. Once, twice. Held. He went to the kitchen, picked up the landline to call Ray. No dial tone. The storm had knocked out the phone lines. His cell was still dead. The charger was in the bedroom, where Linda was. Outside, the wind was howling, snow already piling up against the windows, 6 inches and climbing. Friday night, Tom heated a can of soup on the stove. Ate it standing at the counter, watching snow fall in the backyard. The bird bath was buried. The garden fence was disappearing. Linda's door stayed closed. He could hear her in there, moving around, talking on her phone, voice muffled through the wall. Once she laughed, that same laugh from the car. Tom poured the rest of the soup down the sink. Couldn't taste it anyway. Saturday was worse. They moved through the house like ghosts, avoiding each other in hallways, timing their trips to the kitchen so they wouldn't overlap. The storm raged outside. 14 inches now, roads completely blocked, no one was going anywhere. Tom tried to work in his shop but couldn't focus. Kept staring at that empty space, kept hearing Linda's voice through the wall, talking to someone who wasn't him. Around noon, he went back inside. Stood in the living room looking at their wedding photo on the wall, young faces, smiling, the church behind them, First Baptist, where her father had walked her down the aisle. Small ceremony, 40 people. Tom in a borrowed suit because they couldn't afford to buy one. Linda's smile in that photo looked genuine. When had it changed? Or had he always been too blind to see? He thought about their son's wedding he'd missed because of work, a big machine shop order, deadline he couldn't miss. David had said it was fine, but his voice on the phone said different. He thought about their anniversary last year, their 31st, when he'd forgotten until Linda reminded him at dinner. The look on her face when he scrambled to come up with something, maybe she was right. Maybe he had been ignoring her, but did that justify this? Saturday evening, Linda emerged for food. Microwaved leftovers, ate them at the counter without sitting down. Tom was at the kitchen table. "How long has this been going on?" "How long has what been going on?" She didn't look at him. "You and Marcus." Linda set down her fork. "There is no me and Marcus. He's a friend, that's all. I heard you on the phone. I miss you too. She paused, just for a second. Then, you're hearing things. Inventing problems because you can't handle the real ones. Did you tell him about the cryptocurrency? My brother's estate? I don't know what you're talking about. She picked up her plate, carried it to the guest bedroom, locked the door behind her. Tom sat alone at the table. The furnace kicked on, struggling against the cold. The house creaked and settled. Outside, the storm intensified. 18 inches now, drifts up to the porch. Saturday night, Tom slept in his recliner. Couldn't face their bed. The living room was dark, except for the glow of streetlights reflecting off snow. Everything looked clean and white and dead. He stared at the ceiling, the water stain in the corner, the hairline crack running toward the window. 32 years. Had any of it been real? He remembered David's graduation, how proud he'd been. Remembered Mike's funeral, Linda holding his hand through the whole service. Remembered quiet Sunday mornings, coffee on the porch, her laugh at his bad jokes. Those moments had been real, hadn't they? Or was she always capable of this? Always one bad day away from betraying everything? Maybe he should just pay the $50,000. Save the marriage, get the laptop back, and pretend none of this happened. But he knew the marriage was already dead, and paying would teach his granddaughter, the one he'd never met, that dignity had a price. That men could be walked on, used up, discarded. His father hadn't raised him that way. Mike hadn't died that way. Tom closed his eyes, but sleep wouldn't come. Sunday morning, 7 a.m. The house was cold and dark. No coffee made. No breakfast cooking. Tom stood at the kitchen window, looking out at a white world. Snow piled against the houses. Everything buried, everything still. He thought about giving up, just letting it all go. But then what? A knock at the front door startled him. Heavy, deliberate. Tom approached cautiously. Through the frosted window, he saw a silhouette. Big, familiar, Ray. Tom opened the door. His neighbor stood there covered in snow, holding a manila envelope. His face was grim. Tom, Ray said, we need to talk. I've been watching. And what I found. He shook his head, stepped inside. Snow fell off his boots onto the floor. Your wife planned this, so, Ray said. All of it. Tom made coffee. His hands were shaking, but he managed to get 2 mugs filled without spilling. Ray sat at the kitchen table, the manila envelope in front of him like a bomb nobody wanted to touch. Tom, I hate being the bearer of bad news, Ray said. But I've known you 30 years. You deserve the truth. Ray Hendricks was 72, lived next door since '98. Widower, his wife Carol had died 4 years back, breast cancer. They'd shared a lot of morning coffees over the years, Tom and Ray. Fixed each other's fences, borrowed tools, the kind of neighbor who'd help you move a couch at midnight and never mention it again. Ray opened the envelope, spread the contents on the table. Photographs, 4 of them. The first, Linda and Marcus at the Super 8 motel. Tuesday afternoon, 2 days before the text message. Linda's arm linked through Marcus's, her face tilted up toward his, laughing. Tom's coffee went cold in his hand. The second, Linda and Marcus at Patsy's Diner. Thursday morning, the day before the storm. Booth in the back corner, the one teenagers used when they didn't want to be seen. Marcus's hand covering Linda's across the table. The third, Linda at the ATM outside First National. Friday morning, the withdrawal slip was visible in the photo, $2,000 in cash. The fourth, Linda entering the electronics store on Main Street, holding a small box, the kind cell phones came in. Took these over the past week, Ray said quietly. Started noticing things after Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving? Tom couldn't look away from the photos. I was on my porch, heard Linda on her phone in your driveway. She said, I can't wait to see you again, to someone. Didn't sound like she was talking to Cheryl. Tom's hands were shaking so bad he had to set his mug down. How long have you known? Suspected 2 weeks, started watching, followed her 3 times. Ray's voice was rough. Same pattern. Meets Marcus, motel or diner. Very cozy. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Ray looked him in the eye. Wanted to be sure. Didn't want to blow up your marriage over a hunch. But after you came back from Marcus's place yesterday, he paused. I saw you leave. Saw your face when you came back. Figured it was time. Ray pulled receipts from the envelope. Crumpled, smoothed out. Found these in Linda's trash. She's sloppy. Burner phone purchase, paid in cash. 3 motel receipts, different dates. Restaurant charges. Timeline goes back 6 months, Ray said. But it got worse after Thanksgiving. Tom stared at the evidence. 6 months, while he'd been building a cradle for a grandchild he'd never met. while he'd been trying to be a good husband. Ray, I don't know what to say. Don't say anything. Ray's voice broke a little. Just fight. Don't let them win. Ray leaned back in his chair, ran a hand over his face. My daughter, 5 years back. Boyfriend named Rick. Scammed her out of $40,000. Her savings, her future. Tom looked up. I knew something was wrong, Ray continued. Saw the signs. She'd come over and he'd call every 10 minutes. She stopped seeing friends. Started making excuses. But I didn't act. Thought it wasn't my place. Thought she was an adult. Had to make her own choices. Ray's eyes were wet now. By the time she asked for help, it was too late. Money gone. And she blamed me for not speaking up, said I saw it happening and did nothing. Ray, she doesn't speak to me anymore, Tom. Every holiday I call, every birthday, she doesn't answer. His voice cracked. I wasn't there when she needed me. I let her get destroyed because I was too polite to interfere. Ray looked at him hard. I won't make that mistake again. You need help. I'm here. Tom felt something loosen in his chest, something that had been wound tight for days. I don't know what to do, he said quietly. We start by getting you options. Ray pulled out his phone. Called my grandson last night before the storm hit. James. He's a paralegal over in Fort Wayne. What did he say? Said with this evidence you can file theft charges against Marcus. Extortion, definitely. And Linda's withdrawals. If you're over 65, there's laws about financial elder abuse. I'm 67. Then we got options, but we need more. We need her confessing, on record. Tom frowned. How? Ray reached into his coat pocket, pulled out a small digital voice recorder. Indiana's a one-party consent state. You can record conversations you're part of without telling the other person. James dropped this off before the storm. I've been holding on to it. Tom stared at the device. It was smaller than a deck of cards. Black. Simple. You want me to trap my wife? I want you to protect yourself. Ray's voice was firm. Protect your legacy. Those letters from your father, your brother's estate, that's your family. Fight for it. Tom picked up the recorder. It was lighter than he expected. He thought about his father, landing at Normandy, June 1944, writing letters home with hands that shook from the cold and the fear. Coming back changed, but coming back standing. He thought about Mike. Fighting cancer for 2 years, never once complaining, dying with dignity intact. One more thing, Ray said. Marcus isn't just some ex-boyfriend down on his luck. James did some digging. Marcus filed for bankruptcy last year, medical debt from diabetes complications. He's desperate, drowning. So he's using Linda to get to my money. And she's either in on it willingly, Ray said, or he's manipulating her. Either way, she made her choice. The guest bedroom door opened. Linda emerged, saw Ray and Tom at the table, saw the photographs spread out. Her face went white. What is this? Her voice was shrill. Are you spying on me? Ray stood up slowly. No, ma'am. I'm protecting my friend. Linda turned to Tom. You're going to believe him over your own wife? Tom looked at the photos. Linda and Marcus holding hands. Linda at the ATM. Linda buying a burner phone. Yes, he said quietly. I am. Linda grabbed her coat from the hook by the door. Tried the front door. Snowed shut. Wouldn't budge. She was trapped with them. She turned, back against the door. You have no idea what you're doing. I'm doing what I should have done days ago. Tom stood up. I'm standing up. Linda rushed back to the guest bedroom. The door slammed. The lock clicked. Through the wall, they could hear her crying. Whether from guilt or fury, Tom couldn't tell. Ray put a hand on his shoulder. Storm's supposed to break tonight. We need a plan. Tom nodded. For the first time in days, he felt like he could breathe. Sunday afternoon, 2 o'clock. The storm was breaking, patches of blue showing through the clouds. A knock at the door, different from Ray's heavy thump. Hesitant, Tom opened it. His son stood on the porch, overnight bag in hand. David? Hey, Dad. David looked older than 42, beard going gray at the edges, lines around his eyes. Aunt Cheryl called, said something was wrong with Mom. Tom just stared. 3 years. 3 years since they'd spoken. Your aunt called you, but you haven't called me in 3 years? David had the decency to look ashamed. I know. I'm sorry. Can I come in? Tom stepped aside. David came in, shaking snow off his boots. He saw Ray at the kitchen table and nodded. "Mr. Hendricks." "David." Ray's voice was neutral, waiting to see how this played out. David set his bag down, saw the photographs spread across the table. "What's all this?" Tom told him. The text message, the laptop, Marcus's extortion, the affair, the evidence. David sat down heavily in a kitchen chair. "Mom's having an affair? With that guy from high school? 6 months at least." Jesus. David rubbed his face. "Dad, I'm so sorry." They sat in silence, years of hurt filling the space between them. "Why are you really here?" Tom asked finally. David hesitated, looked at the table. Aunt Cheryl mentioned the laptop, said it had Grandpa's war letters on it. "And," David met his eyes, "I've been working on a book deal. Greatest Generation stories, oral histories. My agent's interested, but I need original sources, letters, photographs, authentication." Tom's jaw tightened. "So you came for the letters, not for me." "I came because Cheryl said you were in trouble." David's voice was defensive. "The letters were a secondary thought." "Secondary?" "Dad, I need money." The words tumbled out. "Harper's medical bills, Emily's student loans, we're drowning. I thought maybe if I could get this book published, get an advance, so you'd exploit your grandfather's war service for a paycheck?" David flinched like he'd been slapped. "When you put it that way," Ray cleared his throat. "Kid, that's not the play here." David's phone rang, number he didn't recognize. He answered. "Hello?" A voice came through, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Marcus. This David Whitaker? Linda gave me your number. Wanted to talk about your dad's laptop situation." David's eyes widened. He looked at Tom, who nodded. "Keep him talking." "What about it?" David asked. "See, I got something you might want. Old war letters, worth a lot to the right buyer. Thought maybe we could make a deal, cut out the old man entirely." David's face changed. The guilt washed away, replaced by something harder. Anger. "Your mom says you and your dad don't get along anyway," Marcus continued, smooth as oil. "What's he going to do with those letters? Let them rot in a drawer? But a book deal, now that's actual money. We could split it, 50-50. How much is my mother paying you to scam us?" David's voice went cold. Silence on the other end. "What?" "You heard me. How much?" Marcus recovered quick. "Listen, I'm just trying to help everyone win here. Old men and their old man stories, but we could turn it into actual money, real money." David's knuckles went white around the phone. "My grandfather landed at Normandy. He earned a Purple Heart, and you're calling his service old man stories?" "Hey, no disrespect, but..." David hung up, set the phone on the table. His hands were shaking. He looked at Tom. "Dad, I came here for the wrong reasons, but I'm staying for the right ones." Tom studied his son, saw Mike in him, his brother's stubborn jaw, his way of setting his shoulders when he'd made a decision. What changed? Hearing him mock Grandpa, realizing I was about to do the same thing, just dressed up nicer. David picked up one of the photographs, Linda and Marcus at the diner. "Using family for profit. What do you need me to do?" Ray leaned forward. "We're planning a confrontation. Public, witnesses, force Linda to admit the truth on record." "I'm in. Where and when?" "Patsy's Diner," Tom said. "Tomorrow morning, Christmas Eve. Place will be full, people getting breakfast before church services." We need to bait them into showing up," Ray said. "Both of them." David nodded. "I can do that. I'll text Marcus back, say I want to meet about the letters, tell him to bring Mom, make it seem like I'm on their side." "He'll be suspicious," Tom said. "He's greedy. Greed makes people stupid." David was already typing. "What's the plan once they're there?" Ray explained the recording device, the questions Tom would ask, how to get a confession on tape. "My role?" David asked. "Block the exits, film as backup evidence on your phone. And if Marcus gets violent?" "Sheriff Mackey owes me a favor," Ray said. "He'll be having breakfast at the diner. Coincidentally." Tom felt something unfamiliar. Hope, maybe. Or just the feeling of not being alone. David's phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. "Smart man, 9 a.m. tomorrow. Patsy's. Bring $10K down payment. Linda will be there." David showed the screen. "He bit." "Of course he did," Ray said. "Thinks he's smarter than all of us." They spent the next hour planning, practicing questions, blocking out positions in the diner. Tom rehearsed with the recorder, clipped a belt, microphone hidden under his collar. Around 5, the guest bedroom door opened. Linda stood there, pack bag in hand, makeup fixed, coat on. "I'm leaving," she said. "Storm's cleared enough. I'll walk to Cheryl's if I have to." "We need to talk," Tom said. "Tomorrow morning. Patsy's Diner, 9 a.m. "I'm not going anywhere with you." "You will if you want access to our accounts." Tom's voice was steady, calm. "I'm changing passwords tonight. You talk to me tomorrow or you're cut off." Linda's face flushed red. "You can't do that." "Watch me." They stared at each other across the kitchen. 32 years of marriage in the balance. "Fine," Linda said finally. "Tomorrow, but I'm bringing Marcus." "Bring whoever you want." Linda grabbed her keys, left through the garage. Her car engine started, tires crunching on snow. David watched her go. "Think she'll show?" "She has to," Tom said. "She's still after something." Ray nodded. "The cryptocurrency. She needs you alive and cooperative to access it." "Then tomorrow," Tom said, "we finish this." David stood, faced his father. "Dad, I'm sorry for everything. The fight over the shop, the years of silence, all of it." Tom looked at his son, saw the boy who used to help him in the workshop, handing him tools before he asked for them, saw the man who'd walked away after harsh words neither of them could take back. "Tomorrow," Tom said. "We deal with this first, then we talk." David nodded. "Fair enough." 3 men in the kitchen, 3 generations, a war council on Christmas Eve. Outside, the snow had stopped. The sky was clearing, stars coming out. Tomorrow would be a good day for truth. Monday morning, Christmas Eve, 6 a.m. Tom sat at the kitchen table with Ray and David, coffee brewing. Nobody had slept much. A knock at the door. Ray's grandson, James Hendricks, was 28, paralegal at a firm in Fort Wayne. Professional, pressed shirt even on Christmas Eve. He carried a briefcase and the kind of quiet competence that made you trust him. "Mr. Whitaker," James shook Tom's hand. "I'm sorry we're meeting under these circumstances." They sat. James opened his briefcase, pulled out papers. "I've reviewed the evidence," James said. "Photos, receipts, timeline. It's solid. Extortion, theft, possible fraud. But recording the confession seals it." He pulled out a laptop, his own, and turned it to face Tom. "I accessed your brother's estate files online. Public records. Your brother Michael invested $15,000 in Bitcoin back in 2017. Tom frowned. "I knew he was into that stuff. Never understood it." "Current value," James said. "Approximately $180,000. The wallet keys are stored as a backup file on your laptop." The kitchen went quiet. "I didn't even know," Tom said. "Haven't looked at those files in years." "Marcus found them," James said. "Probably the first thing he did. That's why he's demanding $50,000. Seems like a bargain compared to what's really there." David leaned forward. "So he's not just holding Dad's memories hostage. He's stealing an inheritance meant for—" He looked at Tom. "For your daughter," Tom said quietly. "Your brother wanted it for Harper's college fund. Told me that 2 weeks before he died." David's jaw clenched. "Then we get it back." James nodded. "With the recording, Sheriff Mackey can arrest Marcus immediately for extortion. Your wife is accomplice if she's complicit." "And if she's just stupid?" Ray asked. "Not criminal." "Depends what she says. Could be manipulated victim or willing participant. The recording will tell us." 7 a.m. David texted Marcus. "I'm in. Meet at Patsy's Diner, 9 a.m. Bring the laptop or proof you have it. Cash offer ready." The response came fast. "Smart man. Bring $10K down payment. Linda will be there." David showed his phone. "He bit." "Of course he did," Ray said. "Thinks he's the smartest guy in the room." Tom practiced with the recording device. Small clip on his belt, microphone no bigger than a shirt button hidden under his collar. James showed him how to activate it with a single press. "Just have a natural conversation," James said. "Let them talk. Don't lead too much or defense lawyers can claim entrapment." "What do I say?" "Start with why you're there. Ask direct questions. Why did she give the laptop away? How long has she been seeing Marcus? What does Marcus want? Let them hang themselves with their own words." David filmed a practice run on his phone. "I'll sit at the counter, film from an angle, backup evidence." 8 a.m. They drove to Patsy's Diner. Ray drove. Tom's hands were shaking too much. David sat in back, quiet. The streets were plowed now, snow piled high on both sides. Christmas decorations in store windows, normal people starting a normal Christmas Eve. Tom's stomach was churning. What if I freeze? What if I can't do it? Ray glanced at him. You won't. You're your father's son. He didn't freeze at Normandy. You won't freeze at Patsy's. David leaned forward from the back seat. And we're right there with you. You're not alone. They pulled into the diner parking lot. Half full already, early breakfast crowd, people heading to church later. Sheriff Mackey's cruiser sat near the entrance. Dan Mackey got out as they parked. 58, built like a linebacker gone soft. Known Tom since grade school. His father and Tom's father had served together, different units, same war. Tom, Mackey shook his hand. Ray filled me in. I'll be at the corner booth. Anything happens, I'm there. Dan, thank you. Mackey's face was serious. Your dad was a hero. Your brother was a good man. What Linda and this punk are doing? It's wrong. I'm here to make sure it stops. 8:45. They went inside. Patsy's Diner hadn't changed in 30 years. Red vinyl booths, black and white checkered floor, aluminum pie case by the register, smelled like bacon grease and coffee. The good kind of smell, the kind that meant community and permanence. Patsy herself stood behind the counter. 70 years old, owned the place since 1994. Her husband had died in '06, but she kept it running. Said she'd die behind that counter someday, and everyone believed her. Tom Whitaker. She smiled wide. Merry Christmas Eve, your usual? Just coffee, Patsy, waiting for someone. Something in his face made her smile fade. Everything okay, hun? Will be soon. Ray and David took seats at the counter. Strategic positions, Ray near the door, David with clear sightline to the center booth. Sheriff Mackey settled into the corner booth, newspaper spread out, coffee steaming. The diner was filling up, retired farmers in their flannel and Carhartt jackets, church ladies in their good coats, young families, kids coloring on placemats. Tom sat at the center booth, facing the door, recording device on. He checked his watch, 8:50, his hands were trembling. He wrapped them around his coffee mug, tried to steady them, thought about his father's letters. Purple Heart recipient, Belgium, December 1944, his cramped handwriting describing cold and fear and duty. I'm scared every day, but I get up anyway. That's all courage is, son, getting up anyway. Thought about Mike's last words, 2 days before the cancer took him. Take care of them, Tom. Take care of our family. Thought about Harper, 8 months old, his granddaughter, never held her, never heard her laugh. This was for all of it. 8:55. The door opened. Marcus walked in first, leather jacket, confident stride. Tom's Colts jersey visible underneath, Linda behind him. New purse, expensive. Makeup perfect. She wouldn't meet Tom's eyes. They saw Tom, paused. Marcus whispered something to Linda. She shook her head. He insisted. The diner got quieter. People sensed something. Marcus and Linda crossed to Tom's booth. Marcus slid in across from him. Linda sat next to Marcus. She still wouldn't look at Tom. The recording device was running, every word being captured. Marcus leaned back, arm draped over the booth. So, let's talk business. Tom looked at Linda, really looked at her. How long? He asked. Linda's eyes darted to Marcus, then away. How long what? How long have you been sleeping with him? The diner went completely silent. Every conversation stopped. Every fork paused halfway to a mouth. All eyes turned to their booth. Linda's face flushed bright red. Marcus grinned. Careful, old man. You're making a scene. Tom kept his voice steady, calm. Good. I want witnesses. The recording device captured every word. Linda's hands were shaking. She realized too late that she was trapped. Now, Tom said, you're going to tell everyone here the truth. 9 a.m. Christmas Eve. Patsy's Diner. Tom's question hung in the air like smoke. You're going to tell everyone here the truth. Linda's face had gone from red to white. Tom, not here, please. Where then? His voice was quiet, but carried in the silence. Another 3 years of lies? Marcus shifted in his seat. Listen, buddy, you're embarrassing yourself. Your wife was lonely. I was there, that's all. Tom looked at him, at the Colts jersey. You're wearing my anniversary present again. Marcus glanced down, smirked. Yeah, fits better on me. Linda gave me that jersey 20 years ago, Tom said, loud enough for the whole diner to hear. Card said, 20 years and forever to go. A church lady at the next booth whispered to her friend. Isn't that Linda Whitaker? With that young man? Linda's voice came out strangled. Tom, you don't understand. Then help me understand. Why did you give my laptop to him? I told you. He needed... The truth, Linda. Marcus leaned forward, aggressive now. She helped me because she cares about me. Because I appreciate her. Unlike you, locked in that shop all day. Tom pulled the photographs from his jacket, spread them on the table. Linda and Marcus at the motel, at the diner, Linda at the ATM. Motel receipts, Tom said. Bank withdrawals, $2,000 in cash, burner phone. Linda stared at the photos like they were snakes. Ray took these, Tom continued. You've been seeing Marcus for 6 months, taking money from our accounts. Marcus stood up fast. You had us followed? That's psycho behavior, old man. Actually, Sheriff Mackey's voice cut through from the corner booth. That's called gathering evidence. Marcus turned, saw the uniform. His face went pale. Tom kept going, voice steady, facts. Marcus demanded $50,000 to return my laptop. Called it data recovery, but really he found cryptocurrency wallet keys, my brother's legacy, worth $180,000. Gasps rippled through the diner. Patsy leaned over the counter. He did what? Extortion. Theft. Tom looked at Linda. And my wife helped him. I didn't know about the cryptocurrency. Linda's voice broke. I swear, I didn't know. But you knew about the affair. Silence. Then quietly. Yes. Linda was crying now, mascara running. Okay, yes. I've been seeing Marcus. I was lonely, Tom. You were always in that shop, building things for people who never visit. I needed someone who saw me. So you betrayed 32 years. It wasn't supposed to be like this. The words tumbled out between sobs. Marcus said we'd leave together, start over. He said he loved me. Marcus shifted, uncomfortable. Linda, shut up. No. She turned on him, hysterical. I'm done lying. He told me you wouldn't notice the laptop was gone, that you never used it. He said we could get money from your accounts, that you owed me for all the years you ignored me. Tom pulled out his phone, pressed play. Linda's voice filled the diner, tinny through the speaker. No, he doesn't know about the files. I told you, he never checks that stuff. Marcus's voice. And the cryptocurrency keys? Linda. He doesn't even know they're there. My brother-in-law died 3 years ago. Tom hasn't touched those files. Marcus. Perfect. We clean him out. He'll never know until we're gone. The recording stopped. You could have heard a pin drop. Linda was sobbing openly now. Patsy had a hand over her mouth. The church ladies looked horrified. Marcus stood, tried to leave. This is bullshit. You can't prove. Sheriff Mackey moved fast for a big man. Blocked the door. Marcus Doyle. You're under arrest for extortion, attempted theft, and conspiracy to commit fraud. The handcuffs clicked. Marcus jerked away. She gave me the laptop. It's not theft. You demanded payment under threat. Mackey's voice was flat, professional. That's extortion. Now sit down before I add resisting arrest. Marcus sat, cuffed, furious. Tom looked at Linda. She was broken, makeup ruined, shoulders shaking. Did you love him? Tom asked. Linda looked up, eyes red. I don't know. I wanted to feel special again. You were always special, Tom said quietly. You just stopped seeing it. I'm so sorry. Linda reached across the table. Tom didn't take her hand. Please, we can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can... No, Tom said. We can't. He stood up, looked around the diner, all those faces watching. Folks, I apologize for the disruption on Christmas Eve, he said. Just needed to clear some things up. Patsy came out from behind the counter, pulled Tom into a hug. Tom Whitaker, you hold your head high. Nothing to apologize for. The old farmer in the corner booth, had to be 85, nodded. Good man, Tom. Your daddy would be proud. Others murmured agreement. The church ladies, the young families. David and Ray came to Tom's side. Tom looked back one more time. Linda sitting alone in the booth, broken, small, Marcus being led toward the door in handcuffs, still wearing the Colts jersey. 32 years, ending in a diner on Christmas Eve. Tom walked outside. The cold air hit his face. Snow on the ground, clean and white, church bells ringing somewhere. David followed him out. Dad, Where will you go? Home. Ray came out behind them. Want company? No. Tom looked at the sky. Clear blue. I need to be alone for a while. He drove home slowly. The streets were decorated for Christmas. Lights and wreaths. Normal life continuing. His house was empty. Linda's things still there, but she wasn't. Tom stood in the doorway of his woodshop. The cradle sat unfinished. For Harper, the granddaughter he had never held. His phone buzzed. Text from James. Laptop recovered from Marcus's apartment. All files intact. Cryptocurrency secure. Merry Christmas, Mr. Whitaker. Tom sat on his workshop stool, stared at the empty space where the laptop had been. Victory felt hollow. He was alone. Christmas Eve. Silent night. But his head was high. Christmas morning, 7 a.m. Tom woke early, couldn't sleep, made coffee in the quiet house. No Christmas tree, no decorations. He'd forgotten to plan for any of it. The wedding photo was gone from the wall. He'd put it in a drawer last night, not throwing it away. 32 years had happened. Meant something once, even if it ended bad, but it didn't belong on the wall anymore. Tom opened his laptop, returned last night by one of Mackey's deputies, turned it on. The files were all there. His father's WU2 letters, his brother's photos, 40 years of memories. Safe. He created a new folder. Named it New Beginnings 2024. Didn't know what to put in it yet. His phone showed texts from David and Ray. Merry Christmas. Checking on you. Tom didn't respond. Sat at the kitchen table with his coffee, looking at the empty chair across from him. 8 o'clock. The doorbell rang. Tom ignored it. Probably carolers. The knocking got louder, more insistent. He opened the door. Ray stood there with his whole family, his son, daughter-in-law, 3 grandkids ranging from 6 to 12. Ray held a ham wrapped in aluminum foil. Merry Christmas, neighbor, Ray said. Figured you shouldn't be alone. Ray, you didn't have to. Yeah, I did. Now let us in. It's freezing. They filled the kitchen. The kids were loud, alive, breaking the tomb silence of the house. Ray's daughter-in-law, Susan, started making more coffee like she'd been doing it in this kitchen for years. Ray pulled Tom aside. Linda? Staying at Cheryl's. Lawyer papers coming next week. Ray nodded. Didn't say anything else? Didn't need to. 8:30. Another knock. David came in with his wife and baby. Emily was 40, warm eyes, easy smile. She carried Harper, who was reaching for everything with fat baby hands. Tom stared. First time meeting them. Mr. Whitaker, Emily said. I'm so sorry it took this long. Is this? Tom couldn't finish. Your granddaughter, David said. Harper Lynn, named after your mother. Tom didn't know David remembered his mother's name. Harper reached for Tom's beard, curious. He took her carefully. Been decades since he'd held a baby. She fit perfectly in his scarred machinist's hands. Ray's grandkids crowded around. Can we see the baby? Suddenly the house was full. Not planned, not expected, just people showing up. This, Tom realized, was family. Whoever shows up, whoever stays, 9 o'clock. Breakfast chaos, the ham Ray brought, eggs scrambled by Susan, biscuits Emily found ingredients for. Someone found Tom's ancient waffle iron and got it working. The kitchen table was crowded, people talking over each other, kids laughing, Harper making baby sounds. Tom sat in the middle of it, holding Harper, watching. David sat next to him. Dad, I talked to the bank about the cryptocurrency. It's yours, legally. Your uncle wanted it for Harper. College fund. You could use it too. Retirement, repairs, whatever you need. Tom looked out the window at his wood shop. Been thinking. That machine shop you wanted to sell. What if we reopened it? Together. Teach Harper woodworking someday. Teach Ray's grandkids. Keep the craft alive. David's eyes got wet. You'd want me as a partner? After I came here for the wrong reasons. You came for the wrong reasons, Tom said. You stayed for the right ones. That's what matters. Yeah. David's voice was thick. Let's do it. Emily leaned over. Harper would love that. Learning from her grandpa. Her grandpa, who's meeting her for the first time on Christmas. Emily touched his arm. Better late than never. And honestly, she's going to grow up hearing about how her grandpa stood up for his family. That's a good story. 10 o'clock. Ray raised his coffee mug. To Tom, to standing up, to knowing when silence isn't strength and when it is. Everyone raised their mugs. Tom felt it in his chest. Warmth spreading. This was the resolution. Not perfect, not painless, but real. Harper fell asleep in his arms, heavy and warm. David pulled out his phone. For your New Beginnings folder. The camera clicked. Tom holding Harper, both of them peaceful. Perfect, Tom said. Late morning, Ray's family headed to Christmas service at First Baptist. David and Emily stayed. Tom showed them the woodshop. "The cradle," David said, seeing it. "You made this for Harper?" "Started it before everything." "Can we finish it together?" Tom handed him sandpaper. "Yeah, let's do that." Father and son in the workshop, sawdust falling like snow, the old radio playing carols. Harper asleep in her portable crib nearby. 3 generations in one room. Outside the window, fresh snow was falling, covering old tracks, making everything clean. Tom thought about Linda, hoped she'd find whatever she was looking for, but knew he couldn't fix her, couldn't save the marriage. Only thing he could do was save himself, and he had. David looked up from sanding. "Dad, you okay?" Tom was staring out the window at the snow-covered yard. "Yeah," he said. "I think I am." "What are you thinking about?" "Beginnings. How they're always sitting there, waiting. You just have to be brave enough to start." David put his hand on Tom's shoulder. Tom covered it with his own. 32 years of marriage had ended, but maybe something better was beginning. Harper made a small sound in her sleep. Both men looked at her. "Let's get to work," Tom said. Evening came. 6 o'clock, Christmas Day. Everyone had gone home around 4. The house was quiet again, but it was a different kind of quiet. Not the dead silence of betrayal, just peace. Tom stood in his woodshop, finishing the cradle. Final sanding pass, making the wood smooth as glass under his calloused hands. The radio was playing, same station as that Tuesday morning when everything changed, same Christmas carols, but nothing else was the same. He ran his fingers over the cradle's rails. Harper would sleep in this. 3 generations of craftsmen in these joints. His hands, David's hands, teaching Harper's hands someday. His father's letters were safe now. Harper would read them when she was old enough. Learn about the man who stormed a beach in France so she could grow up free. His brother's cryptocurrency sat secure in accounts waiting for Harper's college fund. Mike would have liked that. Always said family was the only wealth that mattered. Linda was gone. 32 years couldn't be erased, and Tom wouldn't try. She'd been real once. The marriage had been real. It just couldn't survive what she'd done. But Tom had survived. His phone buzzed, text from David. "Harper won't sleep, keeps reaching for you. When can we visit again?" Tom smiled, typed back, "Anytime, door's always open." He meant it. Funny how loneliness worked. You could live with someone for 32 years and be alone, or you could live by yourself and be surrounded by family. Ray was next door, David was 20 minutes away, Harper existed. Tom wasn't alone. Never really had been. He'd just forgotten how to let people in. Wouldn't forget again. He placed the finished cradle near his workbench. Tomorrow he'd deliver it. Day after, he'd start on Harper's first toy box, then maybe something for Ray's grandkids. The workshop was filling with purpose again. Not building for ghosts anymore. Building for living, breathing people who showed up. Tom turned off the light, stood in the doorway. Outside, the snow had stopped. Stars visible now, cold and bright and honest. The house was quiet behind him. No Linda, no wedding photo on the wall, but also no lies, no wondering if she was on the phone with someone else. Just truth, clean and cold as December air. Tom thought about his father at Normandy, what he'd written in one of those letters. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's standing up when your legs shake, fighting when you're outmatched. Tom had done that. He'd survived his own war. Tomorrow was a new year coming, new chapter, new life. Tonight, he'd sleep alone, but not lonely. Head on pillow, dignity intact, conscience clear, his last thought before sleep. I'm my father's son after all. Morning light came through the frosted workshop window. The cradle sat in a beam of sun, wood glowing honey gold. The radio was still playing softly. New day, new song. Tom's coffee cup steamed on the workbench. Any minute now, Ray would knock. Morning ritual restored. Outside, neighbor kids were building a snowman in the yard. The world continuing. Inside, a man at peace. Legacy secured. Family redefined. The kind of ending that felt like a beginning. Snow melting in sunlight. Fresh start.